Hello, guys. I see you guys coming in, so let's see what time it is. Okay, guys. I have that it is 4 o'clock Central Time on the dot. So welcome, guys. I have you all in mute mode so that I can get through the presentation and the material. So in the event that you guys want to speak or have a question, just put it in the chat box, raise your hand, whatever it is that you guys feel comfortable in doing. Today's topic of commercial loan origination training is one of those topics that, guys, I will tell you, you may just have to stand up, switch around, and shake your brain a little bit because it is going to challenge what you might have been doing in your real estate business. Okay, so I'll give you an opportunity for those who received their documents. I sent those out about an hour ago, not for you guys to stress and go through them all. It was more so for folks who like to follow along with a PowerPoint that I have, because a lot of times I will do a lot of talking and stay away from the actual PowerPoints and the handouts, just so that I can make sure you guys understand what I am covering and talking about. Because if you can't grasp the information, then none of it is going to make sense. So it's one of those things that you have to make sure it makes sense in your head first, and then going through the information. This is not designed to be your end all training, but for some people it is, because you can take this information, which I'll show you how to do at the end of class, and you'll be able to write your first loan on Monday if you wanted to. So before we get started, for those who may be new to Real Estate Ladies Rock or Be Niched or any of the other groups I'm in, my name is Tamika Bryant. I have been an investor for over 20 years in real estate, and I've been a licensed real estate broker who's owned their own company. I've owned my own company for the last 16 years. So a lot of the information that I teach in my real estate school, called the Real Estate House Academy, and to my agents and people I coach, comes directly from what I have done in the real estate business. This is not something I read about or anything like that. So I started doing commercial loan origination probably about 14 years ago. And that was during the time that I was trying to figure out, what was I going to do with my business? How was I going to make money? Because I had to replace a 6-figure income for my husband and myself, because we were terminated on the same day. So fast forward to today, commercial lending as a whole is the opposite of what you guys may know from the residential lending side. So I will start there first, because residential lending is all of the stuff that you guys are used to, from FHA to VA to some of the conventional products, to that type of lending that you do being a real estate agent. And so majority of the people who are on this call are real estate agents. So when I started doing commercial lending and origination, I started doing commercial origination first. And I was at that time a real estate agent broker, and I was figuring out how could I be more value to my investor clients. So in a nutshell, the commercial lending side of the business is more focused toward the investor. And that's what makes the big difference in what you guys do. So when you hear people say you can get paid in, from your client, think of the investor client. So your investor client comes to you and they say, hey, I want to do a fix and flip. That fix and flip property at any given time or whatever is going on, they have to buy that property. Some investors don't have a lot of resources to do so, or they just don't want to use their money. So what I found was that if I could go find them lending, I can not only just get paid on the listing side of the property and then helping them buy the property and then helping them sell the property, but I could also get money on the commercial lending side. And that's what we're going to talk about now, because I know you guys are all going to have questions on, well, how much can you make and how do you do it and all of those kind of things. And so we're going to cover that. And before we do so, I do want to make sure we just go through a couple of the handouts and things like that that I created for you guys. That'll give you more of the info on what you guys have in your handout. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys, but the second part of what we're talking about, and if you guys seen that in there, it said from Bob Hope, had that quote, which is the second page of your PowerPoint. It said a bank is a place that will lend you money if you can prove that you don't need it. And so I posted that today in the group. And also some people were like, that is so true, right? So what commercial lending does for you in that space is when traditional banks don't want to lend, you have this area of the business called alternative lending or commercial lending. And on the commercial lending side, and I'll say this 2 times, just so for people who are coming in or didn't hear this before, there aren't rules on the commercial lending side of the business, because the rules are created by the person who has the money. And in a lot of cases, it's not always a commercial type bank. It could be a private lender, a personal kind of lender, and we're going to talk about that. So I just really thought that when I pulled up that quote, how true that is, that when you go in any business goes into a traditional bank, gosh, look at what they want you to have. And people will normally say, well, if I had all of that, why would I be at the bank? I need some help. And so the banking industry as a whole only pretty much approves about 2% of the business loans that come through the door. I'll say that again, 2%. So if they get 100 applications, they're going to approve 2 out of that 100 applications. And that's where the commercial lending part of the business kind of came out of, because you had all these other businesses and all these other people who needed to have funds and needed to have access to capital. So what you guys have now in front of you is the side of the business that is focused around residential lending, because that's in the space most of you are in. By the end of this class, here's a couple of things that you'll be thinking through. Am I going to use and access this information I learned to find me more property, more lending options for me, so I can do more fix and flips? And do I access this information to earn money and as another arm of my business? And so we're going to talk about that. But right now, is there anyone here who already knows what it is that, or why they are attending this particular class? Please jump in there and raise your hand or whatever it is. and see if we'll unmute you if you want to share. But there is, I know you guys can't chat to each other, so if you just post something in there or raise your hand. So we've got Jasmine. You're unmuted if you want to unmute yourself. I seen your hand.
Hi, Tamika. Hi,
Hey.
everybody. Yep, so I want to do both. I want to be able to fund my own projects and also do the originating piece for other investors that are out there.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, that's you know, and that's how I started doing it. I started using the funds. At first I was getting them for my investors, and I would get them for my investors, do that, and then I would go to the same bank and ask for my own loans, which resulted in my lenders not even charging me any fees, any interest, because I was bringing so much business to them. So guys, think about that as you're going through this process of the relationships that you're building. And if you're bringing them good business, then they're making money. And then if they're making money, they're happy, and they're happy to do whatever it is that you need them to do for you as well. So I always say, put yourself in the equation as well. Because if I'm bringing them 20, 30, 40 deals a year that are good, solid deals, then if I need a few loans for myself or my family or whatever, then I don't want to be charged anything. And they did that without me asking. So imagine what you could get if you did ask. Anything else, Jasmine?
No, that was about it. You know, I'm just looking forward
Okay.
to learning more.
Okay, cool. It's I know it's a little weird because I don't have you guys up where you guys can see each other and do all that kind of stuff. And a lot of that too is, guys, because we can get in here and be chatty patties and I'm distracted and that kind of stuff. And this will be a 5-hour workshop and not a 2-hour as we're planning. So Nikki says, I want to learn how to earn more money and fund my own projects. Cool. So we're all on the same page here for the majority of everyone who is here. And so let's go ahead. I'm not going to flicker back and forth. I'm just going to keep this up here and go through my left side. So what is loan origination? So you guys have this info. You probably know loan origination from the residential side, and is pretty much the same on the commercial side. So loan origination, again, is the process by which a borrower applies for a new loan and a lender processes the application. Okay, so in a nutshell, guys, you as the loan originator and plays a huge part in what those loan origination duties are. The reason being is because when you guys go out and you decide who you want to work with, what kind of contracts you want, what kind of lenders you want to work with, that will determine what your duties are. So a lot of today, you'll hear me say, well, that depends and that depends, because just think about it. If I have a contract with 20 different lenders, then each of those different lenders will have different origination processes. Now, an example of that is my favorite. I would have one lender. He just wanted to have a lot of business in the Kansas City area. He was doing well in St. Louis, wasn't doing well in Kansas City. And so he said, would I originate for him? And I said, well, what does that entail? Okay, so that's the first thing you want to know when you decide that you're going to be a loan originator. What will your role look like? Now, the easiest type of loan originator on paper is one that looks very much similar to a referral loan originator, meaning you get the person's name, their information, and you hand deliver that person to the lender. So that was one of my first contracts with a lender. They didn't want me in the details of packaging a file and all that kind of stuff, what we're going to talk about and you guys are going to see here shortly. They didn't want all of that. They just really wanted the leads, but they were going to pay me as if I was one of their loan originators for their, for them. which is the difference between, some of you guys probably watched that referral video on the commercial referral. Those types of referrals normally are around $250. Okay. I had negotiated for them to pay me 1.5% for my referrals, 1.5% of my loan amount. So for me, that took care of whatever I needed to take care of, but I did not have to do all of the processing of the paperwork. So again, you see the difference between a loan that could get you $250 and one that can get you thousands. It was still very much the same handoff, but it was agreed upon at the beginning of what my roles and my responsibilities would be. Now notice that little block in the bottom, guys, where it says what your roles and your duties and that kind of thing will be. It's your business. Like, you guys will hear me scream this all the time. This is your business. So you have to determine what your fees and stuff are going to be for origination. So when we get down to the part where we're talking about the different types of banks you can work with, then you'll understand more about how to negotiate or what it is you want to do for that particular lender. Any questions from here, guys? I don't see any, so I just want to make sure. Okay, I don't see any. I'm going to keep on going. So the commercial loan originator, in a nutshell, for a traditional roles and responsibility, is that you are managing the file. So unlike the one I had at 1.5%, this one here we're talking about is that you are managing and collecting all the data. So Marlene asks, isn't it 1% for a loan originator? It can be 1%, it could be 1.5%, it could be 2%. It could be whatever it is that you negotiate or that the lender is willing to pay you. There is no amount that's set in stone in an industry that doesn't have many rules. You know, sometimes I laugh because someone had said one time, I'm unmuting you now, Marilyn. Like, I'll show you guys ways to make money and you'll talk your way out of making the money. So guys, be sure not to be that person. It's like, hey, if you got it or something is happening, like, don't cloud your brain in you know, the box. Get outside of the box and know, again, this is your business. So if it's your business, how do you go in and decide how much money you want to make? You negotiate. So Marilyn, I see you have your hand raised. I unmuted you, but I think you have to do it on your side too. And I also see Maggie.
So my question is that I sometimes see loan packages that have the person as the loan originator. And I always thought that anyone who's handling the loan was actually the loan officer or the loan consultant. So if you have someone that says they're a loan originator, then I should not be trying to originate for them. Is that correct?
That's not correct.
Okay.
Again, which kind of package were you looking at?
Residential. I'm looking at a residential one. So I know I shouldn't be flipping back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So there lies the problem.
Okay.
You guys have to take off that residential hat right now.
Yes.
Because although fix and flips and things like that are residential properties in a lot of cases, it's still on the side of the commercial lending business. So the loan originator, the fee that will show up on the HUD when you guys are doing these loans will say loan origination fee, and then it will say to pay to you. but I need you guys to come out of the residential space, like your traditional space. Come out of the box. Don't go pull a settlement statement or old HUD from a residential from a residential property. That won't help us here. That'll cloud you. That'll cloud you guys. Okay, so Keel says, is there a price list that you would provide them with in terms of your services would be? Would you recommend asking these lenders their process before you give them your fee? Actually, I would find out from a lender because again, if I'm looking for a lender, I want to know what's their process for getting this fee. Before I even get there, I want to know, are they open to a broker relationship? Because, and the reason I do that, and we'll talk about that later, is because some of them already have forms in place. So they'll reach in their drawer and say, oh yeah, I have a broker form. Well, that gives you an opportunity to take it, read it, and see what theirs says in term is, you know, their definition of their loan originator and what they want you to do. Some of them don't have one. And so you have, that's why I included one in your package so that you can give that to them or your own attorney and create your own form. But yeah, so I always want to know, what are they requiring for me to do in this process to earn this fee? Now, is there price list that I provide in terms of what services would be? No, I just want to know what their process is. So do they want me to bring a whole file together for them, or do they just want a lead and they'll pay me? Good question, guys. I know it's moving from traditional box to another box, but the good thing is you guys already know a lot of these terms, and you just have to move from someone telling you, we do this finance side, and you now handling that part as well. Not all of the RESPA, it has none of that. So if you could think of all the things that while residential lending is a pain in the butt with RESPA and everything else, you don't have those issues here. Okay, so your roles and your responsibilities for the commercial loan originator will fluctuate depending on the lender. Now, your experience for a commercial loan originator is 0, which is why having to create this training was huge for us, because there is not a lot of training for loan originators, because it just isn't. It's like you jump out there and you just go. But guess what? Because we have the vault coming and we have this next level of this commercial lending part, those commercial lenders over there have to hire commercial loan originators. So in order for them to hire commercial loan originators, we need more commercial loan originators like you guys trained to understand this is how, and this is what this is, and this is how this works. So for me, after I did my first one of these, that's when I realized that in everything I was doing in real estate, this is the one that I could do anywhere in the world, from any beach in the world, because all I was doing was pushing paper. I was collecting documents. I never had to go see a property because the lender will send their own appraiser out to go do that kind of stuff. I literally just needed an internet connection and a way to get their documents to me, which of course they can upload them, send them through their phone or whatever it was. So I said, oh, if out of all the things I'm doing in real estate, what could I do until I'm 90 on a beach anywhere? It became pushing paper. I wanted to push the easiest paper I could. And so being on the side of running a lending company was what it was. So I started out as a loan originator and then moved to owning the company. And we'll talk more about that if you guys have questions on that. But that's what that training starts on Monday. So no experience, guys. There is no CE that you have to do. On the commercial loan origination side, you don't need a license, like all of the things. Stay out of the residential side of it. On the commercial side, it's an untapped market. Okay, so 5 common types of loans that you guys will normally see and probably want to do. And some of you may just say, well, I'm going to be the queen of just one of these or 2 of these or all of them. Because again, as a loan originator, you are not bound by any particular state. So if I want to do loans, originate loans for 5 banks, and one is in California, and one I can do, they don't really care. They just want to make money. Banks want to make money. So I can originate loans sitting here in Florida and originating loans up in Missouri or wherever it is, because I'm literally handling paper. I'm not running around. I'm not showing a property, none of that kind of stuff. Now, that's only if I'm not also in the space of the real estate agent. Some of you may choose to be in that space, and that's fine too. You'll just earn your real estate commission and your loan origination commission. So fix and flips is a type. Buy and hold is another. You have the cash out refis, new construction, and the bridge loans. Now, in the documents I sent you, there are definitions for all of these in case you guys aren't familiar, but 99% of you have seen or heard of this type of loan, right? So most of you have seen it, but probably didn't realize it's on the commercial lending side, even though it's a residential property. Does that make sense? Let's see, who is this? Andreas, he says, what were the typical requirements of a loan originator from one of the lenders you dealt with in the past? Does this cover construction equipment? So one of the requirements of the banks that I've worked with have been none. They just really wanted people who had connections that could bring in good deals. It's really a relationship, and can you bring good business people to the table? So we'll talk about that more in the marketing side. And on the construction equipment side, because that's a different side of commercial lending. That's what we cover in when you're operating your own business. I don't really cover that here. This is just real estate stuff. So with my own commercial lending company, like the one that the ladies are doing on Monday, yes, they can do construction. They'd be able to do construction equipment and any kind of lending that a small business needs. So because of what we're doing, and the focus has been what we did is we took the trainings and we pretty much made them into smaller targeted trainings. So because the vault is here and most of us are real estate agents and focused on investing, that's why we're only covering those pieces. The commercial ladies on Monday will also do the residential stuff. They won't get into the construction and equipment because that's my full program, and that's the one that's like 2 weeks. So we're all staying in this space of residential things is what I'm training on. They are free. You guys are free to go train on the other stuff at any time. Let's see. The next question I have here. So as a real estate agent who wants to do fix and flips and buy and holds, I can earn a commission on buying my property, closing my property, and originating my loan. Sure, if the lender is fine that it is you, absolutely. So what I normally do is I have my loan origination businesses in one LLC, and then I am using my real estate license in my personal name to buy the properties. So that's way I'm keeping everything in its own, area of the business. And more importantly, Tiffany, you're also looking at, do you have a client who needs to buy a property, renovate it, hold it or whatever, and can you help them buy the property and find the lending? And so I always tell people, if you're using it and then you can help other people use it, then that's how you build the clientele that's, you know, that will keep coming to you. So right now it's like I'll get a call all the time, people just saying, do you have any kind of loan? Do you have this? Do you have lines of credit? Do you have this? Do you have whatever it is? I get it, because that's what I've always been known to do. Not just for fix and flips, but any kind of real estate lending. So I'm talking about development financing, guys. I'm talking about church loans. So my, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Liberty Bank, but Liberty Bank is a bank that has, I forget how many offices they have around the country, but what they like to fund are churches. So I found out from talking to the president that they really, that was their target market. And he says, well, if you can find me churches anywhere in the country, that's who we want to fund, we'll pay you 1.5%. And so all the churches knew that I had access to a lender who wanted to fund their stuff and that I could help them put their packages together. So I would help them and charge them, and not just charge the lender. I would also charge the church because of the amount of paperwork and stuff that I had to help them do. Does that make sense to you guys? That you can also earn on both sides of the transaction for the loan. Y'all with me? Okay. So there are really a bunch of other types of lenders, but the three that you guys will come in contact with the most are going to be private money, hard money, and then the commercial banks themselves. So I pretty much have put in the definitions of what a hard money loan is, what a private money loan and lender is, and that kind of thing, so that you guys can see the difference. And I will tell you, it can get a little weird because the private money people can have a product that feels like a hard money loan because the interest rates are really high. And then you may have some of your hard money lenders who are, you know, just depending on, they're normally going to lend based on the property. And the reason why, like I tell people all the time, people are going to buy property no matter what, no matter if the rates are low or high or whatever's happening. If you can keep money turning, you can keep earning. So a lot of times people get all kinds of financing at whatever rates because they are looking at the end result, which is, can I make 30,000? Can I make 40,000 on this flip? If I can make 20 or 30 or 40,000, then the interest rate for a short period of time, we're talking interest rate, even if it was at 12% over a short period of time, is not going to kill you. If you're going to try and wait 6 months to find 7% interest rate versus 15%, and you waited 6 months before you start a project, and with the 15%, you could have done 3 projects by then are you really saving money? Absolutely not. The idea here is to get the money in and get out of it and keep going. But so many times we're trying to make commercial money act like the residential money that we know. So when people hear, oh, 7% or 8% or 12%, oh my God. I'm like, that you're comparing a short-term loan to a 3-4% loan that's over 30 years to a 9 or 10% loan over 6 months, which if you did a rehab the right way, if you didn't have a huge rehab, you could be in and out of a rehab in less than 90 days. So again, it's not apples to apples when you guys are looking at these interest rates. And that, to me, is one of the biggest things having to explain to a new investor. My savvy investors, they just want to turn somebody else's money as much as they can, as long as it's not theirs. Okay, I think I see a question over here. What do you charge the church for and the related fee? Document preparation for the church, Keo, because they normally never have their documents in order. So I normally have to find an accountant that can work with them and get those documents in order. Whatever else that particular church needs. A lot of churches just don't have all of their financial documents in order. Let's see. The Vault is a commercial bank. The Vault is a commercial lender. They will have 3 different sections with the Vault. The first one is the commercial lending arm. The second one will be a residential when that rolls out. And then the third is an actual bank. But that's further down the road. And of course, there has to be someone who steps up who can manage all of that. Marlene says, just to be clear, we can do a loan originator to all those 3 types of lenders, not just banks. That is correct. That is absolutely correct, Marlene. So with you saying that, the 3 types of lenders, so a private money lender could look like me as a personal person. It could look like your family members. It could look like even some hedge funds will have their own private money and some other stuff, whichever way people are coming up with it. But mostly it is someone else's funds. Like one of my favorite clients, their family owned a bunch of restaurants, and now they lend that money to other businesses who are starting up restaurants. Well, they're considered a private lender, private money lender, because it's their own money. And when it's their own money, they create their own terms. So they can say, we'll take people with scores at 500, or a score is not necessary, or, you know, we don't, with that particular lender, like they'll say the company could be started in the last year, but they have to have a standalone building that they're operating in. Can't be a food truck. You know, again, they make up their own rules because it's their own money. So just think about it as if it was your money. And let's say you had $1 million and you wanted to lend money to people to do real estate deals and for a return on your money, you can create your own rules. And so when you find those people, they're normally hiring people like you guys as originators to find people who need their money. Well, there's a fee that's associated with that. That's all this is a fee associated with using someone's money. That fee is there because you connecting your investor to that lender is worth something. And so with the hard money, same thing. And then your commercial banks, guys, are your local banks around you. So if you just think of, do you have 5 local banks in your neighborhood? Commercial banks. I'm not talking, don't go big. Don't tell me about Bank of America or Wells Fargo. I'm talking, give me your local bank called Mom and Pop somebody, or the Security Bank of Kansas City, or whatever that may be for you. How many of you have 5 of those that you can think of off the top of your head right in your neighborhood? Someone said I can think of 2 community banks and a People's Bank. Okay, Marlene. I'm waiting for some of the rest of you to type that in. My very first one was a People's Bank, is where I went to originate. And while I'm waiting for some of you to put this in here, here's some information that you might not know. Credit unions can only lend about 18, I think it's $18 million. That's all the money they have that they can lend out. So they make excellent partners for you guys, because if you can find a loan officer who works for a commercial credit union and they can't get their files done, and you ask them if, you know, you guys can have a relationship where you can take a look at their file and see if you can shop their file with one of your lenders, that's normally another way that you guys can get business. But we're going to talk about that one later. Tiffany says, I have 4 local banks and a couple of credit unions. Okay. The reason why I'm asking you guys this, because on Monday or the next day or whenever day you guys can get over there, you need to go and find out if they will, you know, originate, if they'll let you originate for them. That's all you're going in to ask is who's the person who oversees the commercial lending side, or, you know, who does loans for the commercial lending side of the bank. It could be the, and some people will, depending on who's at the front, they may not know what you're talking about, but that's the question, who does those loans. And you tell them not traditional mortgage loans, the other side, fix and flips, even loans that are held on their bank books is another way to discuss them. And then you just nicely go in there and you ask them, do they mind if you originate for them? And what does that look like? And that's how you started the conversation. Nikki says, I can think of one in my area. Big banks are buying the small ones. I'm going outside of my area. Okay. Cool. We have a couple of local FCUs, and I could think of one local bank. That's right. Because again, I normally always have 1 or 2 local banks in my back pocket, and then I go to a different kind of group, which we'll talk about here shortly. So you don't have to have or do them with a lot. You can do them with 1 or 2. It says I can think of a People's Bank and a couple local banks. Okay, Nikki. Yeah. Yeah, that's 18 million a year for a credit union. So see a problem there, that if you are a business and you're going to a credit union to get money, they only have limited funds. Because think of the developers, if they wanted to go there, they wipe that fund out quickly. So a lot of credit unions cannot even accept the loan applications that they get. Nikki says, I didn't know that about credit unions. Well, no, if this is not your side of the business, guys, most of you wouldn't know this. Where would you learn it? You know, and that's the fun part of what we do over in our side of Real Estate Ladies Rock and the stuff we have going over there on the investment side, because there's so much that, and I know the people who are in here, I got some messages from you guys today. My brain hurts from all the boot camps and all the work, but I'm coming to this class too. And I'm going, well, you can't be complaining about your brain being stretched and everything, and then you still show up, because there's a lot of information there. It never ends, guys. It never ends. So don't dog yourself, you know, about it. You just have to pick what's going to be your niche in this space. Okay, great. You've got a couple of community banks, because that's going to be your assignment. It's like, guys, you got to go find out who is doing, who has what kind of loans. Now, here's a piece that I always find interesting. Now, over these years, I've met lots of bank presidents and owners of banks and board members of banks who own portions of the bank and all that kind of stuff. Well, they all had some sort of product that they preferred to sell over other products. So some of the banks, for example, they preferred auto loans, and some preferred this kind of loan and this kind of loan. And so it never dawned on me to ask those questions when I first got started, to ask, well, what kind of business do you want, you know? And then that would lead to, well, what kind of client? And they would, you know, the loan officers or the other people could, most of them could tell you, this bank is very stringent on this or that, and they want to see files that look like this, or they want to do more residential, or, you know, more investor type flips. ask them, because all banks are not created equal. That's why I like the small community banks. Make sense? Because the big banks, they have a cookie cutter, put it in the thing, and that's it. Lisa says, knowledge is power. I have made numerous hard money referrals and had no idea that I should have collected an origination fee. Ugh. Yeah, not only origination fee, if you were just doing a referral amount, and let's say you didn't do all the paperwork and the processing, that handoff from you guys handing off a loan to somebody is worth at least $250. Lisa, so, and the thing is, and I will tell you guys this, when I went from loan origination and decided I wanted to do this commercial lending side as an arm of my business and really wanted to do it, I went to a full training, the whole gamut. And one of the things that they taught on like day 5 of this conference, or day, I don't know, my brain was just like, whatever y'all talking about. They had a whole section in there on how to work with real estate agents. And do you know what they told them? The direction was team up with real estate agents, but don't offer them a referral fee, because they'll go out and connect you to the client, and if you can close them, they'll just keep sending you business and you never have to pay them anything, because they'll be happy just to close the business and get the commission check. So that's a part of their training. And when I tell you, people are paying, they're paying $99,000 to get into that training. And when I heard that particular section, I said, as a person sitting there, I was the only real estate agent / broker in the whole room. I was the only woman in the room. And guys, and I tell you, well, I take that back. There were 2 other ladies in the room, but they were the assistants to the commercial lending guys who were in there. So please believe that there are many lenders who know that they can pay you, but if you don't ask, you won't get. It's business, Keo. They don't have to. And again, they play on you guys not knowing this stuff, right? So if you don't know, and that's why I said, that's why I did that 10-minute referral piece, guys. If you haven't seen it, or you have friends that go in there, they should be going in there and just saying, hey, I'm going to send you someone. I need $250. Like, that is a basic thing to do. And I'm teaching you guys this too, because those commercial ladies who will have their own commercial companies after June 1st, I'm teaching them to go ahead and pay the agents as well. Like, I'm not teaching them the way that these other companies are teaching. I'm teaching them to go ahead and compensate the agent. They don't know that they can be compensated. So be the bigger person and allow them to get in the middle for their referral and make $250 or whatever. $250, guys, can be the difference in a whole lot of stuff for people. Putting a kid in school that week, paying for lunch, groceries, whatever it is, right? So just, I'm just from that space of course you could keep it, but why? When you can, $250 is not going to hurt you as the lender, because lenders can really, guys, and the part about this, which is why I wish more people would get in on the bigger side, is that you could really push paper for 3-4 months and not have to work the rest of the year, because you're pushing paper. That means you can do 10 times as much business as you were doing with, your residential clients. Think of all the time it takes you to go show a house and go through that process, as opposed to you can sit at your computer and talk to all the real estate agents in your market and say, if you guys have investors who need fix and flip loans, send them to me. I got you. You know how many of those you could get in a month? So that's why a lot of commercial lenders are doing a lot of the bigger deals. They'll do a couple of hotels or something. They do a few of those kind of deals, and they're done for the rest of the year. They take off holidays. They're all gone from Christmas. From Thanksgiving on. They don't even work. So. Wow, so I can ask for a referral fee from my lenders for residential transactions. Nikki, no, not residential traditional transactions. Residential properties, if they are fix and flips. Remember, mindset, change it off. An investor is a business owner. They buy residential properties to flip. You can make money on those, not your traditional buyer. So if you have a buyer who's getting an FHA loan, you cannot make money there. No. If you have an investor who's buying a package of residential properties or even one property to buy and hold or to fix and flip, yes, you can make money there. I want to make sure you got that, Nikki. We are giving out 3 referral names for prospective buyers of where they can get a loan, not knowing I can get a referral fee. Why didn't my broker tell me this before? Marlene, Nikki, not on the residential side of your, not the residential side of the business, not your FHA. That's why your brokers are not telling you this, because this is from your investor side. Do you guys work with investors? Nikki, Marlene, do you work with investors? Those investors don't get FHA loans to buy and renovate properties. They go get commercial loans or conventional type loans. So investors are who we're talking about here, not your buyers who are going to get an FHA loan or VA loan, not that side of the business. Again, you got to turn your head around, because we're not talking about your traditional real estate. That's why your broker can't tell you this, because we don't do traditional real estate. You're in the investor side of the business now. How much do you charge a church to put their loan package together? What's a reasonable fee? That's on you guys. That's your business. You have to come up with your price points and your price list. I can charge a much higher fee because I can look at their stuff. There's some churches I won't even touch. There are things to the church business that, again, you've got to find out from your lender. I have some lenders who will do churches and finance churches, but only if they do not have a steeple in the front. So, yes, a steeple, because the lender says, if in the event this is not a recourse loan and we have to take this loan back, we have to be able to do something with the asset. If it has a steeple on it, then the only thing I'm going to be able to do with this loan, with this church, is find another church to buy it. That limits who I can resell this property to, or sell this property to. So that is one type of lender. And then you have some other lenders who will say, we don't care what kind of church it is, as long as they have 200 seats on a Sunday that's collecting tithes, then we know they can pay this note back. So it all depends on what you're doing. So I always start with, if you're trying to earn 1%, 2% of your church, of your loan, if 2% is, and we're going to get into commissions, if 2% is your fee, and the lender you're working with will only pay you 1%, then you already know you want to charge the church the other 1%. So first is finding out and figuring out how much you are willing to do work, your value, your company's needs. Because for me, I have a whole staff. So I've got loan officers, I've got loan originators, I've got admins. So my fees that I charge are so I can cover all of my bills. And then I also look at how much work I have to do for particular churches. So some churches don't have their finances together. And if I have to find an accountant, then I'll just refer them to an accountant, and I don't charge them until they come back, because it is a lot of work sometimes tracking down church information if somebody else has it and it's not the pastor who has it. So again, you got to know your client. My sister Belinda referred me. I have a huge interest in doing the commercial lender side. My goal is to do hard money as a start. How do I plug into the larger group? Lisa, the larger group is on Facebook. And if that's the larger group you're talking about, is the Invest Like a Boss group. So just tell Belinda to network you over there. And if you're talking about the other commercial lenders, they don't finish their training until next Friday. They start on Monday and come out on Friday. Let me take this back. It's only for commercial. Yes, Marlene, commercial, but commercial like you guys think you know it is not what you may be thinking in your head, which is why I said get out of your box. When an investor, as myself, let's say it's me or you, Marlene, when we go to buy a house to fix and flip, is that residential, or will that be a residential loan, or is that going to be a commercial loan? That's a question to the group. If I go buy or you go buy a house down the road right now for a fix and flip, would you use a residential loan or a commercial loan? Nikki said, gotcha. Yep. No, Maggie, it's not either. It's commercial. So I see some of you who want to stay in your box. Maggie, it is not either. It's commercial. And I'll tell you guys, if you think about it, it seems like it should be a residential loan, right? Because you're buying a residential property. But it's considered a commercial loan because it is for a business. Like, you are a business when you are in the space of an investor. You're a business. You're not, this is not your first home, your first, your owner occupied home. So on your taxes, you have your occupied residence, and then you have to have a Schedule C for everything else, right? Well, all of those properties that are on the Schedule C are considered commercial, not residential. So you're not going to get an FHA loan for that fix and flip. You're not. You're not going to get conventional or any of those other kinds of VA products. You're not going to get that for your fix and flip. It's commercial. Just get your head around anything with investors is on the commercial lending side of the business. That would be commercial. You don't want the 20% down of conventional. Tanisha, it doesn't even matter, because sometimes in the commercial side, it's going to be more than 20%. And I'll show you guys. It'll be more than 20% that investors have to bring to the table, especially if they're new investors. Tiffany, that's why we set up our business, the blueprint. Exactly. Guys, you got to get out. Tanisha, nope, I'm not going to let you go into that space. Conventional, nope, that has nothing to do with 20% down. Don't go in that space. So I can assign my fee for putting docs together, and the lender will collect it. They can not override what I charge. Example, can they tell me I can't charge more than 1%? No, because they can tell you that they're going to charge you, that they're going to pay you 1%, but they can't tell you that you can't charge your client your other fee of 1% or whatever it is. Now, again, all these numbers come up on your settlement statement, and you'll be able to see. But that's why when you meet with your client, you guys, you have your form. You guys are to sit and do your actual agreement, your fee agreement. How much am I charging you, and what am I actually doing for you? I'm going to find, this is what I tell my clients, I'm going to find you financing. That's what this loan origination fee is for. Not just collecting the documents, but I also have to find you financing, because if this one lender doesn't work, I'm going to find you financing someplace else. So for me doing that work, I need to be paid. This is how much I need to be paid. Now, some of my loan officers, they will get, they'll have a transaction fee, and they'll have other fees that are in there depending on how much work they have to do. But that's why they meet with their clients and figure out what they plan on doing. So let's go ahead and look at the loan process. So we can see. Okay, you guys should see that loan process there. Let me go back to a question that Sherry has. Oh, okay, that's the same one. So nope, a lender normally does not tell you that you can't make whatever, because again, your agreement is with your client. You'll have one agreement with your client and you'll have one agreement with your lender. They're not the same. Your agreement with the lender is a broker to you as the broker to the lender agreement, and then you'll have a fee agreement with you and your client. So normally when I sit with my clients, I have them, they come in or they call and they say, hey, I'm looking for this, or if I was advertising, and I'll shoot them over a fee agreement, tell them to read over it and say, hey, and it lists, this is what I'm going to do for you. This is what I charge. Sign this and send all of these docs back, and then we can get started. So the loan process, you should all see this on your screen. Let me know if you don't. Are there any considerations or constraints when this is a question that's in here, when the investor wants to leverage SBA monies? Yeah, there will be some, depending on the SBA lender. So in the SBA world, and that's a whole separate training because there are different types of SBA, and we could be here all day, but the SBA lenders, some of them are preferred lenders, meaning they can get an SBA application in and out in 30 days. What that is that the SBA has governed them as like their eyes and ears. So they don't have to go through the same process as if you went to, let's say you're a bank that isn't a, I can't think of the term that they use, isn't a, let's call it a push through for now, isn't a push through lender. Then that same application, if you went to a preferred SBA lender to a push through lender, may be 6 months, whereas your preferred lender may be 60 days. So it really just depends. And so when you are looking to do SBA loans, and some of you will graduate and want to do SBA loans, because SBA loans do include real estate. And that's something that they learn in the other class, because as the owners of the companies, they need to know, and those commercial owners have to decide which lenders they're going to use for their SBA products. So the loan process can vary a little bit, but this is mine. But application is received. We analyze the deal. And analyzing it is looking at, well, let me first go back. The application process normally is coming from someone saying, hey, I'm interested in a loan with you. What can you do? And I may send out a one-page application that has their information. It's asking them for all of their history, but it's all on one page. Yours can be anything you kind of make it. I have some loan officers in my office, they will collect an entire application because they feel that they're going to be with this client for a while. And during that application, they will ask for, and you'll see that in your printed documents that I sent you, they'll ask them for everything from their LLC documents and everything. But during that process is also where they get them to sign saying, this is what I'm going to do for you, and this is what it's going to take. And for my services of doing all these things here, we will then collect X amount of dollars. Now, some of my loan officers will have a fee that they charge on the front, just so that the person has skin in the game, which we'll get to what they call those things and that kind of thing. Because for some people, depending on what kind of loan it is or what it is or what they have to do, like some of you might choose lenders that are easy breezy. They got a one-page application and it's simple, in and out. And some of you may have a lender who has a bunch of stuff you have to do. So you really have to just see what it is. Then you're analyzing the deal. And for me, that's still on that one pager because I'm looking to see, do they have the property already? How much is in the property? Do they have the contract? You know, will the numbers work? You know, all of that kind of stuff. It's you figuring out what's going on with this file so that you can know where to place it. Because again, you guys may have contracts with more than one person, more than one lender. Then once you're looking at that, you're sending that process up to someone else, normally your lender contact or whatever, and asking them to pre-screen it and give you a pre-approval. Now, I will tell you, I don't do it that particular way. I will, as a bank, I send out my own pre-approvals before I get through the whole process. And it's more of a pre-qual, just so that an offer can be written. Because remember, for some of you guys, you can't even submit an offer unless, you know, you have a pre-approval. So I'm going to stop there because I see some hands raised. Anyone want to jump in? Let's see who else is over there. I see Lashana with her hand raised. And I see Maggie.
Yeah, so my question is regarding this loan process. This is before a property is acquired. It's like, I have to go back to the residential. It's like getting a pre-approval to put in the offer. This is not where someone has purchased a property and now they want to flip it. They want to rehab it to flip it. You're getting this loan before you acquire the property. Is that what you just said?
Well, you can do it two ways because some people will already have the property.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some people already have the property under contract. Mm-hmm. And they're like, look, I gotta hurry up and get this property. Can you get me financed in 10 days? Or, you know, they've already jumped out there and have the property under contract, or they went to some other lender and the lender couldn't get them closed. And now they're, you know, asking you to do it.
Okay.
Good question. Because yeah, it comes in both ways. Was that it, Maggie?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. Lashana, are you there?
Hey, I'm good. My question was already answered. I actually had my hand raised a while ago when we were talking about the community banks.
Oh, okay, cool. Anyone else while we're here? I think I see another question down here. Let's see what this is. Lisa said, got it. Katrina, yes to your question. You can. I'm good. My question was answered. Okay, Lashana, I now see it over here. I'm looking at two different screens, so you guys forgive me. So back to the loan process. Yes, and again, this is one that I use, but it is, you know, some of us will, the one thing about it is if you have your own processes that work, no one's going to stop you from creating it the way you want to create it. You just need to make it make sense for you. For me, I normally going to get somebody, I get an inquiry, I send them the one-page application I want them to fill out, they send it back. Then from that one page, I can analyze the deal from that one page. I can pre-screen it, look at it, send them a pre-approval out so they can write their offer if they don't already have the property under contract. I discuss the fees and things like that, the required documents, and those required documents change based on who the lender is. So the lender meaning, if you are working with your local commercial bank and they may have required documents from the person. Like one of my lenders, for example, they will only lend in an LLC, but they'll let you buy it in your name. At closing is when you have to have your LLC together. My other lenders be like, no, we want the LLC together now. We don't want it at closing. So it really just depends on what the checklist of that lender is. And so I always try to go with the ones that, of course, don't require me to have to do a whole bunch. And that's why I work with different lenders for different things. Then we're looking at a time frame. Most of your lenders, you'll find out, can they close in 7 days? Can they close in 10 days? Most of your private lenders can close in 10 days. if you have everything together, which is why during that application process, it does make sense for my loan officers, that's why I don't bother them too much, to get all of their documentation up front if they have time. Sometimes you're in a rush and you have a fire deal and somebody just dropped it on your lap and they're like, go, go, go. And I tell you guys, if I get those go, 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 hurry up and go, it comes at a prime amount. And I may say, okay, the lender is going to charge, we'll charge you 2 points on that lender side, but I need $3,000 up front. That does not have to be on the settlement statement. That's what I'm doing right now to get started on whatever it is I'm doing. I don't know, whatever it is that you come up with. Like sometimes I have those type of clients that they are not going to go get any of their documents. I got to go download them from the state website. They're in several states. They don't know the name of their LLC because they got 20 of them. So one of them is called New Jersey LLC, and that's how they wrote it on a contract. And then when you get the LLC documents, it has NJ. Well, now we got to do changes to that contract. Yeah, I call that, Tanisha, you'll hear me, a convenience fee, because they are so unorganized that it makes me have to go do more work. And those are my investors that I make a lot of money with, but they're also all over the place. And I don't know if they just not on their meds that day or what is going on or that week, or that's just how they operate. But a lot of them who are doing hundreds of properties and stuff, they're all over the place. And whether they have an admin or the admin quit or whatever, then all of a sudden my team becomes trying to get all this paperwork together from multiple partners on an LLC. And then sometimes you guys, you'll have people who just want to do 1 or 2 properties. They got all their paperwork together and they're good to go. And they don't give you headaches. The headaches should have a premium cost with the headaches. So Sherry says, each will have their own application, or can we develop our own? What will the vault require? So the application for the lender, they may have their own. When they tell me they don't have or they don't care which one I use, then I'll just send them the one I want the person to use. Some lenders will even have their own portals where you'll upload them. So here's the trick, guys. When you decide what part of this business you want to be in, because just like everything else, you don't want to do everything at one time, right? So do you want to focus on fix and flips, buy and holds, and then those are the 2 products that you do, and then from there you select 2 or 3 lenders. So we're going to talk about that second part of your question on the vault and some of those other things, because there are 2 ways that you guys can set yourselves up, and we'll talk about that later. So I won't cover it right now. They pay a convenience fee up front. Yes, all my clients, the wacky ones, oh yeah. And they know I get the work done because I'll stay up all night, answer their calls all night, but I want my money up front because those headaches, they cost. A bottle of Aleve can get expensive. An extra bottle of wine, yes. And yeah, it's just, again, guys, it depends on your relationships and stuff like that. And the better you get at this, then the better the more income, the more, like anything else, you guys didn't walk into residential real estate knowing everything, right? No, you had to learn a little bit. So you may start off doing a few referrals and then say, okay, well, I'm going to try 1 or 2. And somebody may say, I'm going gun ho because this is where it's at for me. I could push paper and processes because most of you are very process driven as it is, being real estate agents, right? You're used to checking off the checkoff list for everything. Some of you who work with investors, and if you're working with an investor, answer this in the thing. Haven't you collected all their docs in the past? Meaning, did you not get their LLC documentation? Did you not pull together their articles of incorporation, if those were them. Like most of you already were doing the stuff that a loan originator would do. You just weren't placing the file with the lender. Because I know for me, I was doing them. I had to pull, because I would never start working with a lender, an investor or an investment group if I didn't know that they were legit. So I go to the state website, or I tell them, hey, look, go ahead and send me your LLC docs before we even get into the process of writing offers, right? Because you don't want to wait till the last minute to start doing that. So cool. So after you do your required documents from whatever lender you're going to do them with, then that lender normally has a time frame of, hey, this is what's going on. We'll get back to you. Normally that is 24 hours. Lenders are pretty quick on, you know, getting whatever information. And I always say this is my internal process too, because I'll inbox my lenders and say, hey, I got something coming up. And then I'll send up the loan, whichever way, wait for the approval. If they know it's coming, they know to look for it, wait for the approval. And then as soon as I get the approval, I communicate that to all the parties. The client, if there's another agent that's not myself, and then the lender does all the other stuff. The lender orders the appraisal. I don't order the appraisal, just like the other lenders do. I'm not ordering any inspections because that's not my role here as the lender. I am just the lender. Whereas you guys, if you're planning on doing both sides, yes, it would be you ordering, you know, inspections and all that other kind of stuff. Me as the lender, which is why I can do so many more properties, I don't have to do all that. Once I send a couple of emails out and just keep track of what's going on, my main goal is to get to closing. After I get everything in, the lender will say, hey, we might need this, we might need that. There's also a process in there where you get a term sheet in there where the investor can look and say, okay, yeah, I accept these terms. And they go, you know, you go over them with them, send them over. And like I told you guys, most of the time this stuff is in and done and can be done normally around between 10 and 14 days. We can get these closed if everything is in. And sometimes it can take longer if there are issues with the property. Normally not the issues with the money. Okay, so as we go in through the commissions, because this is the part that I get the most questions about, is how much should we be paid? How does that look? Now, there are two ways we're talking about here. And one is the loan originator. And guys, I want to make sure you see that thing that says commissions. The loan originator is the first, is on the left side. And that's if you are originating for a bank or a lender. And the one on the right is a loan originator for yourself. Okay, so the loan originator on the right for yourself looks like you, and I'm picking on LaShawna right now, is going to originate loans for yourself, and you're not going to connect with any one lender. So you want to pretty much be outside the box, doing whatever you want to do, but you don't want to go to the extreme side of being the whole commercial lender. And why I say the extreme side of being a whole commercial lender, because most of the people who are going through that portion are saying, you know what, I know what I can do as a loan originator self. I want a loan originators all across the country. Okay, so those people look like what's happening in that first row. So LaShawna, you create LaShawna Middleton Financial LLC, and you go to your local bank and you talk to your local bank. You get them to sign your broker agreement. You then find your clients. You can tell those clients, hey, I'm in this I can help you find financing. here are my fees, here's my fee sheet. You go to the bank, you have a broker agreement with them, like how I explained before, and you can earn on those loans up to about 2% of your loan, 2 origination points, or 2%. Now, in that situation, most lenders will not be at 2%. Banks, they'll see you and say, okay, 1.5, 1, but know that 2 is if that bank, you know, you have a really good relationship or you're really good at what you do. They seldomly like to start new business at 2%. 1% is more of your average or your standard working with a local lender until you prove yourself, because they don't really know what kind of business you're going to bring in there. Because remember, they still have to check fraud and all this other stuff, and they're like, let me see what this lady can bring, because you're not an employee for them. You're an outside person. Now, you're also not a threat because you are independent and you're bringing them new business that they wouldn't have. Okay. You can also originate for different types of hard money lenders and private lenders as well, like we talked about. Same process. You get an agreement with them, you go to use their funds. Now, when I go back to this left side with the loan originator for a bank or a lender, that looks like it could be one of the ladies who will have an affiliate company next week, and they are now their own commercial lender, and you are a loan originator for them. So you bring business in to them, and then you guys negotiate how much you are going to be paid for bringing that business in. Now, they can say, yeah, I need you to process the whole thing, or I need you just to hand off the file, or whatever that looks like. Typically, they will have a processing fee in place. They normally also have funding fees. The bank does. So you'll see that as a part of the fees that are in there. Those fees don't necessarily come to you, but you'll normally see those fees. And so sometimes people will add the fee more to those fees for themselves and take a lower origination point, but all of that there is negotiable. And then the commission as a real estate agent, you still get. Nothing changes there. This is all in addition to what you're doing. Questions? Because I know y'all have them. I don't see any coming in. Okay, here we go. Someone says, I see one that says, how do we find private money lenders? They're everywhere, Nikki, everywhere. You can literally go on groups and ask for, do they know any private money lenders? I always go to my closest network of, again, going back to who's in your circle and wanting to know who has, like, I always ask a lot of the people who I'm in with, like, who wants to use, like, my title was funny with my title lady the other day told me that somebody had asked her if she wanted to be a private money lender because she had an extra, what did she say she had? Something like she had an extra 30,000 around, and she wanted to get better returns on what she had than it's sitting in the bank. And so it depends on how much money you're looking for, because I tell you, a lot of people who you don't expect to have an extra 50,000 have it, but they may have it in a CD earning 1% because they feel it's safe, as opposed to, you know, coming out with terms and things like that. But I find you can find private money lenders in your network. There are a bunch of groups on Facebook. a lot of my girlfriends they go after private money lenders, and they always tell me that they find them through investors, through other investors, because a lot of investors are using them, and a lot of their investors who've made money actually lend out their money as well. That was my question. How can I find lenders that I can originate for outside of community banks? Yeah, so you can originate, like one of the lenders, you guys can originate with the ladies coming out on June 6th out of there. They'll have additional bank financing as well. I'm looking, I know I saw, oh, okay. I don't know if I answered your question already, Lashana, if that was why you had it, things, but you guys are unmuted.
Okay, so to originate for myself, basically you're saying just go ahead and create an LLC for the company and just go find the business. Just go find these lenders.
You can go to a bank. Yeah, you can go to a local bank if you want to start there, or you can go to hard money lender, private lender. Anybody saying they lend to business.
Okay, so
it's fair game.
Okay, so the same community banks that I would go to for REO.
REO, absolutely.
Okay.
That's what I'm teaching the those other lenders to do, is while they're already in that space, get the REO business for you guys. REO business, while you're already in that space, get the other business. Like it all ties together. Like you guys are already in that space. So whoever you talk to for your REO business, find out who's doing the lending, and there you go.
Gotcha.
But I just don't know how you're going to duplicate yourself like 12 times, because you got like 12 things going on.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah, some of y'all had to be looking for assistance. You can't do it all.
I got one right here.
I'm like Jasmine. I'm looking at Dawn. I'm looking at some people who I know have got 25 things already on their list. And I'm going, do they realize this is a whole nother business arm?
Yes.
You know, that's over here.
Yes.
But if you're looking at look at who you are, who your current investors are and what kind of financing they're looking for. And that's why I tell people that's how I started going to find what financing I wanted to service, was based on who my clientele was. I didn't want to go too far outside of my network. Mm-hmm. So if my biggest clients were doing this kind of lending, or needed this kind of lending, whether it was buy and holds or whatever, I would find the lenders who were doing that. You know, that's who I would look for. I would call the bank and say, is this your product line?
Okay.
Yeah. It's not as hard as I know some of you are making it, but it is a shift in the brain again. Because they've always told us you needed these licenses and all this other stuff, but that's on the residential side, because the residential side has more rules than the commercial side. The commercial side isn't, and that's why you guys probably haven't heard so much about it, because it's an unregulated industry. I'll say that again for those who weren't listening. The commercial lending side over here is an unregulated industry. So not many rules and regs. And when that happens and there's a whole lot of money being made, guess who's not at the table?
Right. I think, Tamika, for me, it's just a matter of me not knowing that I'm able to do this origination.
Right. But isn't it the same thing as you guys not knowing how to build that other side of the REO business? They only tell you this part. Isn't it the same as you guys not knowing about the other commercial stuff and everything else that you guys learn?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's a whole side of this business that when they have you in that residential box, they have you captured in the box. You'll never come out of the box to see anything else because you're too busy doing that over there. So the other money that's being made is not being made by the residential agents.
Right.
This is the commercial lending that ties to that commercial real estate. So when an investor sells off 100 properties and the other investor has to get lending money for it, they go to a commercial lender, which
Right.
would be one of you guys. So you can make your commission on that plus your lending side money on a package deal. Yeah, because I'm not talking just your onesie twosies. I'm saying after you get through a few of these, then you start realizing how many properties investors are carrying. You run across an investor that has 30 properties or 60 properties and they want to unload them to another investor. Well, now you not only have the real estate commission, but you also now have the commercial money as well tied in there too.
Amazing.
Yeah, just that it's as simple as that. I know, but we will overthink it, and that's why I'll tune y'all out sometimes because I'm like, y'all making this harder than it is. And if I wasn't doing it or have done it, or that I haven't taught my agents to do it, like Maisha's, who's in my group, who's in the group too, you don't hardly hear from her because she's always selling something. But when I start showing her how to put together packages, she's like, why was I doing this other stuff? Well, you had to learn it. You had to come from property management to residential sales to then get to here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not everybody just has, falls into it. So I'm going to answer some of these other ones that are over here. LO fees are, loan origination fees are paid at closing, correct. Nikki, loan origination fees are paid at closing, but service fees are paid whenever you want to be paid. Remember I said the service fees that I charge to clients who don't have their paperwork and all that kind of stuff and processing and all that kind of stuff? Well, that's not free charge. Depending on what kind of work I have to do, some people will require that you have a what are the business plan, depending on the kind of loan. Like there are some lenders who will tell you, don't bring me any loans less than 40 million. Well, a $40 million transaction and what paperwork and stuff you have to do and all that kind of stuff. Like I said, I charge a convenience fee because most people that I normally will work with or I get referred to, they don't want to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, okay, well, I'll just have an admin do the work, but you're going to have to pay. I'm not going to throw that work inside of there too. You as a business owner should have your paperwork and stuff together. If they go to a regular bank, the bank is not going to do the work to get them a loan. Do you recommend with just 2 to 3 banks as you start out so that you can have a variety to choose from? Yes, I do recommend to have 2 to 3, just so that and it should be 2 to 3 that are different, not 2 to 3 that are offering the same thing. But yeah, having a couple so that you have some options. But again, the first thing I would say to do is know who your client is. Like, who are you talking to? Who are you speaking to and telling them I can get money for you? You can't be I get all kind of money when you're coming out, because then you'll get calls of people saying, hey, can you get me equipment for my real estate office? You're not there yet. You're still learning this. So you want to be clear in who your target is and keep it small first until you learn the other pieces. REO plus commercial lending is the way to go. I mean, I'm only telling you guys what I did, not, so I coupled REO and commercial real estate. I coupled commercial real estate and development. I coupled commercial lending with everything having to do with investors, because investors always wanted money. And if I could always find them cheaper money than what they were planning on using, then that's how I became their money girl. That's how I became the money girl to all the developers. Sherry's asking about commercial lending with a big bank. I don't do any commercial lending with any of the big banks because normally they only approve a small percentage of their applications. That's one. And then the second thing is if the big banks, if a normal investor wants to can go and get money from a big bank, then I tell them go there. They're going to have cheaper money, than I can. But most of the big banks are not accepting, the majority of fix and flips and buy and holds. The average person is just not meeting those requirements, which is why they're only approving about 2% of all their loans. So that's why for me, the best people that give me business are the big banks, the loan officers in those big banks, because their hands are tied. By the time they send something up to the board and all this other stuff, 90 days into, do I even get the loan? Or if the investor has a really good relationship with like a Bank of America or something like that, I'm going to stay over there. I'm for, I have all of these other people who need, my services. Tiffany says, so I should create an LLC or being the loan origination side of the business. So I have an LLC for my fix and flip biz. My realtor license is in my name, and now LLC for loan origination. You could do your commercial lending under your fix and flip LLC if you wanted to. I just don't. But again, guys, when y'all start asking me questions on the LLCs, what you hear me tell you all the time, check with your accountants. Because how I set my stuff up and how they may want you guys to set your stuff up is different. Now, when I first got started, I wrote my commercial lending business in my personal name. When I first got started, my first 2 deals, I did them in my personal name. After that, I created the LLC for that side of the business. And then before long, guys, I probably have more LLCs than a person would want to dream about. But when I created the LLC, when I finally did create that LLC, I knew I was going to be a commercial lender, not just do a few loans here and there. Like I knew I was going to be at a bank. So looking at the commission chart, is the $450 processing fee, $495 funding fee, will you be paid, or is that the bank or lender? That's normally what the bank or lender is charging the client, not you. But typically they will allow you to go over that amount if you still wanted to have a processing fee in there as well. So your lender may say our processing fee is $395. And then you say on your paperwork, my processing fee is $595, so that you keep the difference. Lisa says she just joined a commercial side at KW office. Looking forward to the new adventure. Cool. I heard you say you combine commercial and REO. Is there a course out there for that? I know, Lisa, we just did the REO boot camp that is in the system over there, but for the people who are in the boot camp, I don't think I covered commercial lending and how to merge those two. I think I only talked to you guys about the REO and how to add that new stream of business to your company, I believe. That's correct, right?
Yes.
Okay. I know that Tanisha says, I know that I want to do fix and flip. I know my business owners with various businesses, mostly dispensary owners. Are there any loans specifically? Yeah, there are a couple. And those you'll find more on the private money side, because the commercial, companies and, well, not companies, the commercial banks and stuff like that aren't going to touch anything having to do with the dispensaries right now. So you'll see that kind of money on the private money lender side. So yeah, if that's a niche for you, there are lenders out there. You can own that space. Cool. I'm going to jump back into the presentation because I guess as we learn, we have more questions. I love it. I love it. Okay, so over here, here's probably some questions you guys are asking yourself. Should you go solo or with a lender? So I put that up there so that you guys could help, you would have some help making this decision when I'm off from this space here. So if you're going solo, know that you have no splits. You are the boss. All money is yours to keep. You provide and seek out your own training, meaning any of the training that you want. Normally lenders will provide training. And this is meaning like you're going solo as a broker on your own, not like you're going as an independent contractor under like one of the ladies or under the vault or something like that. So you provide and you seek out your own training. Marketing and all expenses are 100% yours, just like all your other businesses. You should create your LLC or you could work as an individual. Speak to your accountant. So you guys were ahead of me on that one. And on the solo tip, you can go much bigger later on. So that means you can go and operate a commercial lending company at any time that you felt like it after you were solo, where you could not do that if you were working under a lender. So with a lender, you'll have a split with that lender, of course, right? Just like you do with your other brokers, stuff of how you're set up there. You negotiate, that's all negotiable. So you can be an independent contractor with your lender, or you can work as an employee for that lender. Typically that lender will provide you leads because that's what they're doing all day long, is having people come to them. They have access to more lenders and more products than you would because it's only you making your ways around at the beginning. Most lenders have more than one pool of money that they're lending from. On the commercial lending, when you are starting a commercial lending company, you'll normally you can broker out money, you can lend out your own money, or you can be a direct lender. So that's what those lenders over there have, is they have more options for products. They will normally train you on new products, and then the lender may provide other benefits, including healthcare, et cetera, et cetera. So the piece that I found the most attractive was and I've done both, and working with a lender was fun, and I learned, other stuff from them, which more was just their stuff, but I'm just not designed for that kind of business. So when I did the solo thing, I've found that I just had more, I could get up and go and do more things. So like now, my lending business is I have loan officers, I don't know, they're kind of spread out. So they lend everywhere, and just like a brokerage, think of a real estate brokerage having multiple offices across the country without having licensing, without having continuing ed, without having all of those things going on. So really you're alone. If you're operating a company, you could have a loan officer who's working out of their house, or one who just says, hey, I'm going to get a Regis space and get deals in and send them in. So again, that's all up to you guys. You can stay small and just do them just yourself, and add another 50, 100,000, depending on how you want to work it. So if you know your average price point for your for your loans and stuff like that, then you can kind of guesstimate, how many loans you'll do and how much money you'll make. But yeah, this is easily your 6-figure money, and you never have to leave the house if you're asking. But you do have to lead generate, right? So you have to lead generate from wherever you are. You just don't have to go outside. Because again, most of the loans that you'll do probably won't be in your neck of the woods anyway. Who knows? And even if it was, it's not your responsibility to go get pictures or anything like that. You'll just be doing extra unless that particular lender needed them. But most lenders will send out their own appraiser. So none of my lenders, I never signed an agreement where they need me to go and do any of it. As if, no, that's not gonna work. Let's see, and if it did, then I would just have my assistant who would do that for me. So guys, we're gonna move into the marketing piece. Keo says, so go into the bank on Monday. If you're going solo, yeah, if you're going solo, you can go to the bank on Monday. You go right to the bank you went to for REO stuff too. Concerning the split from Andrea, does the lender want a portion of the origination fee? Let me go back, and the lender from the side of you're working for the lender, they will typically have their origination fee, and they'll tell you, just like some brokers have administrative fees, lenders have what they call processing fees and other things that are on there. So yeah, you could very well have a split for your origination fee, because some lenders get paid on the front on the origination fee, and some get paid on the back as well. I didn't want to go into the back points and things like that, because that will come later when you guys find lenders that allow you to make money on the back end of the loans that they're keeping. So yeah, you can make money on the front, make money on the back. You can also split your origination fee, or you don't have to. But again, that goes back to what you're going to negotiate. And always understand, none of this is standard, except for maybe like, oh, you shouldn't ever go into a new lender that you're trying to create a business relationship and say, I want 3%, and you've never done it before. That's not, they'll be looking at you saying, okay, well, 1%, 1.5%, sure, no problem. That gets you in the door. And then as you get better, you can increase that. And again, you can always have your service agreements and other ways that you make money as well. So guys, we are at 5:45. We are almost 2 hours in, and we are at the Q&A time. Just to make sure there are no other questions, or I'm gonna let you guys sit with a few things. You can raise your hand if you want to speak, or type them sitting here, because my thing is always, how many do you have for me? How many questions do you have for me, more than anything else? Because I know, and the piece, guys, you have your write-ups of terminology that I sent you over. I sent you over 2 sample agreements. So if your lender doesn't have an agreement in place, most of them already do. You don't have to worry about it, but you'll not have one. And then the other one is for your client. And this is designed so that you have enough information to go out on Monday and get your first client. Broker with one of those 3 banks, find out what's going on over there, and at least have the conversation. You know what happens with most of us, and I'm saying most of us as women, we will overanalyze and overthink stuff, and then we are overwhelmed and we never make a move. So we have to get away from that. So knowing what you know now, you know, at the minimum, your fee should be at 1% of your origination fee should be a minimum at that 1% of the origination fee. You know that you can go into a local bank, right? And find out if you can originate for them. You go to the commercial section of the bank. If you do that, you also, now that you have this particular training, you can apply right with the ladies who are coming, who will have this commercial lending. They'll have their companies finished by the time I finish with them in a week. You can be a loan originator for them as well. So even if you don't want to go out and talk to anybody at the local bank because of COVID, you can at least talk to the ladies coming out of the commercial lending company, because they'll be legit and ready to go, and finding out, how much they're going to charge. So use some of the questions that you had here to ask them about what those are, how much are they going to charge, what will they want you to do, all of those kind of things, because I think there are a few of them who are coming out of that. I don't know all of who's in there yet. I see someone says, please send me the docs for this webinar. I registered late. Okay, but it says an anonymous attendee, so I don't really know who that is. So if you type your name or inbox me through Facebook, one of the people there will get that. What does the initial call or visit with the prospective lender sound like? Anyone want to restate what I said with the initial prospective lender and how you're going to talk to the person on Monday? Lashana, I see your hand. I think I unmuted you.
Okay. Yes, you did. Okay, so can you talk more to the ladies that are coming out of the class they're starting the class on Monday. You said that they will be ready to start business, and we could potentially get with them to see if we can originate for them.
Correct. Now you'll be able to start your business here too on Monday.
Okay. And to that, when we go in the bank, those questions or something are like, do you mind if I originate for you? And what kind of business do you want in your bank, to lend on?
Correct. What kind of products do you offer, and what, exactly. That's it. It's as simple as that. What kind of products do you have, and can I originate on those products? And I always tell people, I'll just tell them, hey, I'm in the real estate things. I work with a lot of investors. What kind of products do you have that I can offer to my investors, and can I originate for you?
Okay.
Does it seem like it's too simple?
It's simple.
Oh, okay.
It's simple. Now, with the ladies starting their own lending practices, they will already have. So tell me, what does that look like exactly?
So what they have to do for their week, you mean, like stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they have to learn about the different products that they'll have access to, understanding term sheets. They go into a variety of different real estate loans, including mezzanine loans and all kinds of real estate loans,
Okay,
because
so
they are a commercial. What they're working toward is they want to be the bank, like their own commercial bank.
they'll have the products that we can originate on.
Exactly. They'll have additional products. So like you guys will go to your network and they'll have additional networks, because again, that's what some of them are planning on doing full time. So when you just think of a bank as if that's all they do and that's all the work that they do, they're going to conferences, they're going to, so they'll have different financing products. They have to learn about the credit report pulling side of the business in case they have to do that portion of it. Just all of those kinds of things that a loan originator wouldn't have to do.
Okay, got it. I just got to go bring the people to them.
Yeah, you can do it that way. Yeah, even as a loan originator or a referring agent, you could just bring the people to them. That's why, you guys, that's why this is like 3 parts. So that little 10-minute video just was a referring agent, and all you do is just, here's the person's number. You can earn money that way. You can be a loan originator and hand it to them too. Or, It just depends on the lender saying, no, we need you to originate more. So that's why
Right.
you guys are here, because you want to do a little more than just a referral, and if you had to.
Okay. But basically, again, we just have to go and find our own clients and go to the ladies from Monday and get the money.
Right. Because the ladies who are coming in on Monday, they're going through that training twofold. So I write the bigger training for execs. What I did for Real Estate Ladies Rock, because Real Estate Ladies Rock has 35,000 real estate agents, right? In addition to that, their plan is to have 100,000, because they also have meetups. So there's all of those meetups coming in. So with all of those meetups that also include men and other investors, the Coach Ella wanted to make sure that if there was going to be lending opportunities, why aren't they going to us first?
Okay, I got it.
So if it's going to go through us, then the people got to be trained on how do you do that? Because we got to be the lender, because the vault is not planning on doing all of the loans. And so we wanted to make sure that if the vault was doing loans, that there were also people who were independently trained who could say, hey, yeah, I'll take some of your leads and I'll help over there. But they don't have to do any of the leads from Real Estate Ladies Rock.
Gotcha.
Because they're operating their own business.
Okay.
They just lucked out because they got the training for 1/4 of the price of what we charge executives, because of what Ella is working to do. So that's why they're like, well, we're going to do it now, because to go to that kind of training and do all of those pieces, plus we're going to have leads coming in. So if there are leads coming in through Real Estate Ladies Rock, they shouldn't be going to outside people. They ought to stay in our network, right?
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so they're going through that. They're going through operating, how they have to operate that business, whatever niches. We have to spend some time in them figuring out their niches. We got to look at what their daily work schedule needs to look like. I'm thinking of some of the other stuff. Bridge loans, they have to go back through. They're going over SBA products and loans, all the other types of loans that come through commercial real estate, because they have to know more than like a loan originator knows, so that they can help guide you and your clients coming through there. So what kind of products they have for, let's say a $50,000 person, or up to somebody who needs 5 million, where would they go? How do they read the financial statements? How do they read the balance sheets? What kind of trainings do they have to have? What are the different co-signers, and what's the collateral, when they get into those higher price loans, not just fix and flips, what's the bridge loan? How are they going to use that?
I was going to ask, what's the bridge loan? Okay. On the common types of loans.
So what a bridge loan is pretty much is a short-term loan that is given to a borrower until their permanent financing is ready. So let's say you're doing a owner finance and there's a balloon that's coming up, but the person's long-term financing is still not in order. Well, somebody's got to come up with that balloon payment, or they're going to lose that property.
Right.
Well, they go get a bridge loan for that.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah. So how would they finance a hotel? How do you finance a non-recourse loan? Just things like that they got to go deeper, because they're running their own company. And the thing is, when I'm doing the training, I'm not their coach. So when they're finished their training, they have to take their companies to their next level. So that's why our training is training. It's not coaching. So that's why it's like, okay, here's the training you need. Now, just like a broker like you are, you still have to go get additional training to be a better broker.
Right.
Yeah. So I know somebody probably had that same question. I think, somebody always does. That's why I'm like, ask the questions, guys, and get them on out there. So Nikki says the banks will have in-house originators as well. Yes, they'll have in-house originators which is normally the person you'll be talking to, which is they're calling a loan officer, a loan originator. They may have loan originators who are doing paperwork, the processing side of the business. Just depends on what they, are calling it for that particular term. Tanisha says, I haven't received any of the documents that you just spoke of. Are they being emailed? They were emailed earlier to you guys, about an hour before class. So I'll take note that Tanisha doesn't have things, but whatever address you guys registered with is where your documents would have went. If you don't see them in your, if you don't see them in there, just let me know. Will you receive a copy of the training if you have questions after the training? Anna, you should have this whole PowerPoint plus some of the other documents sent to you. If you don't, I will resend those, and I thought I sent them to your new email as well. Katrina, I think I covered some of the information that was in the class for next week, but that is some of it. Okay, that's Jasmine. Let me remind myself, of course, I don't have my pen right here. Another question, is the vault one group that is lending, or are these ladies lending individually? No, the vault is not the ladies. The ladies are their own individual commercial companies. They are what we call affiliates of the vault. The vault is, think of the vault as a really big entity sitting on the left who will have its own money, its own everything when it's all said and done. We're getting people trained to run their own companies because we have a need right now. When COVID hit and all the lenders start backing out and doing all kind of weird stuff, a lot of the hard money lenders and private lenders pulled back and they reworked a lot of their programs. So this was a great opportunity for those ladies to kind of come in and not have to, even though they were starting from scratch, but so is the whole industry. And that was the main reason why we're like, this is a good time to go ahead and do that now, because the vault was always on the radar. But now that we have, everybody's been stuck inside and everything's kind of, being readjusted, we have time. Is there insurance requirements for going solo, such as E&O? Nope, no requirements there. I mean, you as a business owner can do what you like, but there are no requirements. Do you keep these clients' records for audit purposes? Nope, there is no audit because you are the only entity that would be audited would be the bank, but you would have sent their information into the bank, so nope. It does seem too simple. What's the difference between what we're doing and the class this upcoming week? I think I answered a bit more, but there are additional things like them calculating debt ratios, understanding the different SBA loan types. Like most people don't realize how many SBA loan types, because they'll be able to do SBA loans. You guys won't be able to do SBA loans directly unless you are going with a lender who already is doing them. Not all lenders do SBA loans. And so them understanding the differences between the 7A loan guarantee and the 504 loan program, that kind of stuff. And then the other one was, that's what it's called, a PLP lender, preferred lender program. So all of those ins and outs that you guys don't need to know to start making money, they need to know to operate multi offices and businesses. Sherry, a video, there was a 10-minute video. It's still out there. You can get the link in the group that just talks about referring business. That's the video they're talking about. Okay, Katrina, cool. No, the training that's offered on Monday it went first to the 365 group, and then it was offered through Real Estate Ladies Rock Invest Like a Boss group, where there's about 1,500 of us, Andrea. So no, it didn't go directly to the boardroom because it's all on the lender. This is all on the investor side. Sure, I can talk about marketing real quick. Let me just get through some of these. And I believe I had skipped over that one. Can you guys see that slide that I do have up? And so I gave you guys the basic ones, which is Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, hosting monthly networking events, connect with all your realtor friends that you know work with investors, and attend real estate investment group meetings. So the biggest thing about when you're connecting with the real estate agents is you guys as loan originators can also pay those realtors. So I know for me, if I wanted agents to bring me legit business, then I'm going to offer them a couple of $100s to bring me the lead, the referring lead. You can do that in this side of the business because it's the commercial side. So do you create, it's the same kind of marketing and stuff you guys do as what I listed over here. What gets creative is what marketing techniques you have and what you're going to do, and only you can kind of come and figure that out based on who your target market is going to be. I always go with my realtor buddies who want to earn a couple of $100 for bringing me their investor client. I never have a shortage of business when I do it that way. Yes, Lisa, it's the PLP. I could not think of that for the life of me. Will the vault training be done again? Felicia, if you're talking about the training that starts Monday, I'm probably not in that capacity. We won't do that training. That's actually 1/4 of the training I do for my corporate execs, and I was only doing it to get the vault kind of going. It takes a lot of time, and I believe, though, we might put the course, don't quote me yet, depending on if we can put more of the stuff online, then we may offer it. But that course, truthfully, is better done in, face-to-face, in a classroom setting, in a boardroom setting, because of the pieces that you're going through. So we'll see how this first group goes and what that looks like. So essentially, they do not need capital to be the bank. Nope. They just need the access to the capital. Exactly, Dawn. And that's where people are like, well, I don't have money to be a bank. Well, you just are going to use somebody else's money. Banks don't use their own money, guys. Right? I mean, if you really think about it, banks, they're not using their own money. They're using the Federal Reserve money. And then they charge a fee. The Federal Reserve charges them a fee to use it. And then they charge all of you guys fees for using your money. So most of them don't have their own money. So why should you? That's why I tell people you can get in and not have to have your own capital, which is the best. I tell folks, people always ask me like, oh, okay, where you at? Can I catch up? Y'all can catch me and find me. I'm normally at somebody's beach, near somebody's water, writing books, writing courses, or whatever it is that's going on in there after your training and things like that. In each one of your groups that you're in connected to within the investment group, there is a question mark that's on there, and it says questions, put them all here. If you have questions, post those questions on there, because myself or someone will, that's where we go to look for questions. If you try to inbox me, I may not see it, or I may get to it at a later time. Let's see, who else do we have here? I have the documents. I was asking about the recording so I can listen again. Oh yes, I will send you all this recording. So you can listen again and watch again. And again, this time, take off your real estate agent blinders hat, put that to the side, because all of those times they told you that you couldn't make money on real estate loans, take that off. Yes, these are loans. Yes, you're going to use them for real estate, but this is not your traditional buyer. Your end user is what's changing the dynamics here. Okay. Some of the marketing pieces, a lot of the marketing pieces that I normally will create are for people who are running their own companies. I have my own company, so I'm more familiar with those than I do with the individual investor, because you guys all have investment groups and Facebook. Like, you could sit in a Facebook group and anytime, and just create something in Canva saying you have money to lend. Like, don't overthink this part, or create something that says you pay for leads and send them to your real estate agent and tell them you pay for leads for investors who need financing. Like, you don't need a whole bunch. A couple of things. And again, the good thing about Facebook and LinkedIn and all these things, there are already groups of investors that are out there. Another thing that my husband used to do for me is that if there was any renovations going on anywhere he was driving, he'd just stop and give them a flyer and say, hey, my wife does lending. If you need another alternative, some kind of alternative financing, or if the banks are not financing you, give her a shot. I give those kinds of flyers or business cards out to my kids, and my daughter drives my wrap truck, and so she goes to Home Depot and passes them out. Like, guys, it's not that hard. Are the commercial companies being paid from lenders origination fees, trying to determine what's the incentive to start a company if we make the same? Oh, Sherry, you probably won't make the same as the lenders because you won't have access to the same lenders. Just simply because things like a loan originator normally is not going to get in the door to an SBA lender. So there's some doors that loan originators just can't get into, as the owners and companies will. And so they'll have the advantage to some of those things that are over there. And again, you can start what I say your version of a company, just doing, brokering deals where they'll learn how to be the lender themselves, how to be a direct lender, and how to broker. So those are some of the differences. I got Jasmine down here. As to my understanding, this day is just a preview of the class on June 1st to the 5th. No, Maggie, Marlene, this is not even a preview to what they're doing over there. This is one portion of loan origination training, which is why none of them are there. I told them this is not where they need to be. This is where somebody who's going to work for them needs to be, not them as the owner. So this is not a preview. This is something that's covered on one of their days. They're training for 5 full days. This is 2 hours. So, nope. I would love to participate in commercial lending course. Did you say it was at capacity? No, guys, after this is finished, I'm gonna tape this, and so I need to have some parts of it. There are, send a inbox if you want that information, because there's a link that tells you more about what they're covering in that particular course. And then we can get that to you this evening or tomorrow, because they're uploading stuff to their, they have a database that they have to upload stuff to and getting stuff printed out. And so I'll have to send that and do that individually. We just switched over to a new database. So for those folks who are in the REO Bootcamp 2, this is for you. If you were looking for your docs and you were having a problem with your login, that's why everything just switched to a new database, and it wasn't supposed to switch until June 1st, and some of it is switching now. So if you're having that issue. So guys, we are at our time. Looks like we've answered all of the questions for the materials that are here. I want to make sure that we get everyone who did not receive their email this info. And again, guys, you have 3 simple things to do, which is contact your lender on Monday, ask them if they do origination, if you can originate for them, and then also find out about their product. That is it. Then I want you guys to come back and let us know how it went, because again, I don't want you guys overthinking all of these pieces. Just do those first pieces, because the minute one of them says, yes, this is our product, and yes, you can originate, then the next step is they're going to give you a sheet of what you have to collect in order to originate for them. So you don't have to think through that. And then you just will ask them at that time too, is do they have the agreement, which is called the broker agreement? And if they say yes, then you sign theirs. If they say no, you use the one I sent you. Or at that time, if you're freaking out, go back to the group and write it down there and say, hey, I'm freaking out. What do I ask for next? Okay, guys, I don't want you guys getting stuck in all of the minutia. It's not hard at all. It's very simple. And I tell you, when the market had crashed years ago and I was trying to figure out how to do all this stuff and how to make money and all of these crazy things were going on, this opportunity was sitting right in my face, and I didn't even know. And I can't even tell you everything else that unfolded from there, including, guys, I was owner financing properties that had bank loans on them, and the people were sending the payments to the bank, and then the bank would give me the balance. I mean, all kinds of weird stuff I didn't realize I could do over with a local lender. So we're not going to talk about all those pieces, because then I know I have 2,000 questions. But just on the loan origination part, you guys can do this. And if you're already working with the investor, you're 99% there. So I want to see you guys get out there and do it on Monday, not get stuck in the minutia. You have stuff you can study. You got terms and terminology you can study whenever you feel like it. Get out there and get one of these deals done and get that first check. And I will tell you, after the first one, you're like, that was it. That was it. So guys, I will see you on the next round of Shift My Brain is what I need to call these series, or Stretch Me Coach or something, because you guys are going into a whole nother space that there aren't enough women in. So I'm so empowered to share this kind of stuff with you guys, because to show up to the conferences we go to and things like that, and to be like 1 of 5 women when there are 4,000 men in these rooms doing this, at the higher level, it's awesome. So guys, I will talk to you later. I'll see you sometime tomorrow in the group or somewhere. Inbox me if you don't have the information, you didn't get it, put it in there, and KJ or someone will get that emailed out to you. And I know Keo also has a package if somebody has her information and needs that from her. Okay, thanks guys. Talk to you later.